Okay, great. I think there was a question around will carriers such as T-Mobile be able to offload onto the Helium 5G network in areas where the carriers have priority? Um, Tony, do you have a
I think at the moment, we only go in one direction. So when you are with the Helium Freedom 5 SIM card, and you have a coverage by the Helium network, you'll be able to make a connection. But once you're going out of the range, then you're going to roaming over to T-Mobile network, but not the vice versa because we don't have that data offloading agreement yet. It will be done in the future, but not at this moment.
okay? So only from Helium Mobile when they provision SIM cards for the network and have phones that we can use, we'll be able to anyone that's using them or has that SIM in will be able to offload onto T-Mobile for coverage
Yes.
outside of us. Okay.
I think
Um,
a good thing to keep in mind also with that is in the future when you can offload from carrier to helium, you're not going to be setting up a helium 5G hotspot near a cell tower and then overpowering the cell tower and taking over traffic from the carrier. It's really designed to be placed in places that have poor coverage from the carrier to kind of supplement that coverage. So most places like in the city where you have good 5G coverage, setting one up, you're not necessarily going to take in a bunch of traffic just because it's there. It has to be a stronger signal than the carrier's signal would give them. And then, or maybe in certain cases, if it's more lucrative for them to transfer data that way, that might work too. But in general, you're not going to be stealing a bunch of traffic. I think depending on how you deploy it.
Yeah, yeah. Because there are three levels, right? So first level is the Navy, the original owner of the spectrum, and the second level is the telecom. Okay, so even you have a strong signal, when you have an overlap, I think you won't get the spectrum to send transfer your data because T-Mobile or other carrier have a higher priority than us. So most likely you are not going to transfer the data. But unless there's some agreement that they are offloading, there are some feature they can like a certain uh, condition met, and then they will be offloading the data to our network.
yeah. Yeah, one of the situations that we've been talking about a lot is in certain areas where there's very strong carrier coverage already. Like maybe some places where like theaters, stadiums, where when there's a lot of people there, when it's overloaded, where you might have full 5G signal, but you might not be able to do anything because there's so many people on that network. So one of the questions I've been hearing, and I also want to know is, once the offloading, I guess, can go the other way, can T-Mobile offload to Helium network then? So like if they can't handle it, they'll offer to the Helium to take over.
I think in the big event, most of the big telecom carrier will have will add more resource in that area. So most likely, uh, probably not going to offload to here network. And also, since our radio is fixed, right? You cannot just say, "Oh, we have event, we move to nearby." So yeah, it's kind of hard to compete in that case.